Hey, welcome. Today we are covering the top 10 frequently asked questions all over the web. So if you're new here, welcome to Everything Aja. My name is Aja McNair, and I'm an educational consultant, the founder and CEO of Everything Aja, and I inspire and empower women just like you to teach the next generation. And so, one thing that I am amazing at is helping people just like you be able to close in academic learning gaps through the way of multiple games. Now you might be saying, well, how do games work? Well, simply that's because games are able to get kids to learn basic recall skills, and that's a part of my proven 3-part framework. All right, so that's just a little bit about me, just a little tad. But I do want to welcome you to Everything Aja. Today we're gonna just answer the top 10 questions. So y'all, I literally have been researching, and trying to find the top 10 frequently asked questions that are all out there on the internet. If I do not hit your frequently asked question about teaching the alphabet, simply tell me down below in the comments what's your question so that we can get it answered. Even better than that, you can book a call with me so that I can hear your question, be able to answer your question, and then help you specifically with your next steps on teaching the alphabet. All right, let's get straight into question number one. Now, question number one is one that I have seen all over. Like, I know in one of my last videos, I did a full-blown tutorial on how to teach the alphabet for beginners. And I answered this question there, but I want to answer it again. And that is, what is the best order to introduce letters to young learners? I see it time and time again where so many people begin with the letter A and they go all the way to the letter Z. You guys, we are not reading the Bible. I know reading the Bible, we could read the Bible in a sequential order, chronological order from the beginning to the end, but that is not the case with learning the alphabet. Typically, you want to start children off learning the letters that are easiest to say and easiest to write. For example, you want to start off with the letter O. It's one of the easiest letters to write because it's a circle. And most children learn their shapes at like 1 or 2, right? And so by the time it's time to learn the alphabet and begin to write letters, they can easily write a circle because they've been doing it for so long. So the letter O is an easier letter to learn. It also makes the ah sound, and so that sound is a very easy sound to say, ah, versus the letter Q, for example. You would teach the letter Q towards the end. Why? One, the letter Q makes 2 sounds. So it's 2 sounds together to make the sound. So they were going to have to learn the letter K sound, the k, and the letter W sound, the w. And then they're going to have to put that together for KW or qu. Then when it comes to letter formation, they have to make a circle. Okay, so they're going to have to know a circle. Then they're going to have to learn how to make a line. Then they're going to have to learn how to make a tail. Now, that is 3 things that they're going to have to learn how to write in order to write a letter Q. And then those are 3 things that they're going to have to know in order to identify a letter Q. So that is a more complicated letter. And so when it comes to the order of introducing letters, do not teach it in sequential order, y'all. Do not teach it in sequential order. So introduce letters that are easier to say and to write. So A, S, T, O, C, okay? And then you want to move to more complicated letters like Q, X, V, Y, Z. All right? So that is question number uno. Woo, woo. And let me know if y'all need any more in depth with this. I do have a curriculum called Reading by Design. And if you have my curriculum, then the letters are already introduced in that order. And so you won't have to worry about it if you have Reading by Design. All right, question number 2. Should uppercase or lowercase letters be taught first? Oh my goodness. This is one question that I feel like has been in the air for quite some time. People go back and forth all the time about it. What should be taught first? Y'all tell me right now in the chat box, like answer this question. Which should be taught first, uppercase or lowercase letters? I would love to know what y'all say. Even if you're watching the replay, what's taught first, uppercase and lowercase letters? A lot of times, science has shown us that children learn uppercase letters easiest simply because they're straight lines. Okay, most of the uppercase letters are straight lines. However, the science of reading has rolled out. We now have research of how the brain works. And I am a strict believer in the research. Teach uppercase and lowercase letters at the same time. Teach them at the same time. Kids can then identify them at the same time. They'll learn this is the uppercase letter A and lowercase letter A. When you have to go back and reteach lowercase, what it actually kind of stunts their growth a little bit. Why? Because now they're having to do some unlearning. See, a lot of times when you begin to just teach uppercase letters, you don't tell them that this is the uppercase letter A because they don't have anything else to, distinguish it from. So you just teach them this is the letter A. So because you're only teaching them that this is the letter A, that's the only representation of A that they learn. So then you go back and say, oh, well, now we're learning the lowercase letter A's. Now, guess what? The baby's confused because now they're having to unlearn some things. So teach uppercase and lowercase letters simultaneously. Okay? Simultaneously. So it is crucial and essential. There is research out to express it. Of course, learning lowercase letters will be more difficult for them. They're naturally going to catch on to the uppercase letters. But if you're teaching them together, I'm telling you, your children will rise to the occasion and they'll learn their alphabets so much quicker. Do not do all uppercase and then go back and do all lowercase. Promise me, you will not do that. All right. Question number 3. We are rocking and rolling. I'm not going to keep y'all long on today. I miss doing our little live training. So we're getting back to it this year, y'all. How can I make learning the alphabet engaging for children? I cannot believe people are typing the internet trying to figure out this question. Y'all need to send them my way. Okay? Like, go ahead and send them over here. Y'all know what I'm going to say. Games. Period. Games. Why? Because the alphabet is a basic recall skill. Remember at the beginning, I kind of told you what it is that I do. And the reason why I'm able to close learning gaps like teaching the alphabet is by teaching children basic recall skills. Learning the alphabet is a basic recall skill. What does that mean? There is one right answer. The letter A is the letter A. There's literally only one correct answer. So when you're dealing with these basic recall skills, you want to find a way that is really engaging for them to be able to recall and retain the information. And so games has been one way that I have found works for children of all ages, children of all different learning styles. Why? Because it's fun. Period. It's fun. And so you're able to piggyback on the competitive nature that's already there. Even children that aren't competitive, there are still games that they will begin to like. And then there's also hands-on activities if they don't like games that they'll begin to like. And so you want to make sure that you are always doing something hands-on and exciting. That's why even in my curriculum, Reading by Design, the entire curriculum is filled with games and interactive activities. Games and hands-on activities, period. Because when children are learning what is called a basic recall skill, or the terminology would be considered a DOK, depth of knowledge level 1 kind of skill, and they're theoretically they're learning standards that require memorization. They're learning that this is the letter A. And so that's not very fun. And so if you don't want to do flashcard drill and kill, y'all know what they did with us growing up. What letter is this? A. And that was all you did. And then you were literally deleting the information in your mind 2 minutes later. And so in order to avoid that, you want to do as many hands-on activities as possible. You're teaching these same skills, but you're not doing it in a way where they're deleting the information. All right, next question, Jonas. Is it effective to teach letter names and sounds simultaneously? Now, if I'm gonna tell y'all to teach uppercase and lowercase letters at the same time, of course, y'all. I was in Googling and trying to find frequently asked questions when I saw this. It's so crazy because I've heard this question so many times. Like, there's people that will teach letter sounds and then letter names or vice versa. Now, phonemic awareness, which is dealing with simply sound manipulations, that can be taught first. But I'm not actually teaching, I'm teaching the sounds. So, for example, when a child is one, you can start teaching them sounds like, ah, and then by the time a child is like 2, 2, 3, you can begin to teach them how to blend sounds like cat, cat. Do you hear the word? Cats. Yeah. And you can begin to, teach those skills before they even learn the alphabet. So you can teach letter sounds first. However, if you are teaching the alphabet, you want to teach letter sounds and letter names simultaneously. Okay. So you're technically teaching phonics. So you're teaching them the name, and then you need to also teach them the sound. Okay, don't so this way they're every time they see the letter A, they're always corresponding the formation of A, the name of A, and the sound of A all the time. So this combined approach actually helps children make these connections between the visual representation of the letters and their associated sounds. And it helps just facilitate early reading skills as they're always kind of making these connections between the three things: the sound, the name. All right, next question on it. And y'all feel free if y'all have another one, we can go to question number 11. It's
Sure.
cool. It's cool.
Just ask.
Okay, Siri just wanted to jump in there.
I don't.
Can you? Did y'all hear that? That is just crazy. Okay, there we go. The next question: what strategies can help children struggling to learn the alphabet? I actually just had a call with a potential client, and she's like, look, my son is struggling learning the alphabet. What can we do? Hire a consultant like me? Yeah, no. But on the simple tip, get help. Like, seriously, if you have a child that is struggling to learn the alphabet, they're going to struggle decoding and they're going to struggle reading. And now they're going to be behind. And now a learning gap has formed that's even greater. And so if you don't know what you're doing, let's say you're homeschooling for the first time, you don't have much experience, but you're having a child that is beginning to struggle with the alphabet, you do not want the learning gap to get wider and wider. Research shows us that a typical child can only gain a year and a half growth. That's typical. And so there's a very small window in which you can allow a kid to have a learning gap and they can actually begin to fill in that gap. And so you want to act with a sense of urgency in closing that gap. And in closing that gap, you want to begin to facilitate multisensory techniques. So tactile activities. I know you see in my video, I'm always talking about tracing letters in the sand or using Play-Doh. Those kind of tactile activities where they can use their hands. Use lots and lots of visual aids. Even in my curriculum, there are posters for you to begin to put on your walls. There's also the auditory reinforcement. That means you're saying the letters all the time. Every time you see the letter A, you are constantly saying A, pointing to it, letting them point to it, let them repeat after you. And the more reinforcement they have, eventually they'll begin to put these puzzle pieces together. Ensure that any potential vision issues are addressed. Because if you notice that you're always saying the letter A and they're constantly missing it, make sure that they can actually, that they don't have any issues visually. Sometimes children aren't able to see, or they do have a hearing issue. And because they learn the alphabet so early on in age, you want to just eliminate that. That's an issue. Okay. All right. So, what strategies? I just gave you some, but also get some help. All right. Next question: how often should you teach the alphabet? Every day. Every day. Have you ever taught a child something one day and literally the next day they forgot it? Like the next day, off their mind. They completely forgot it. They need constant reminders. So, especially nowadays with technology, children's attention spans is very, 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 very short. And so, with technology and everything else, they need that constant reinforcement. And so, you want to have a schedule set up in which you are teaching the alphabets every single day. Daily exposure, daily practice is crucial, especially in early learning. Incorporate really short, consistent sessions that include everything we've already been talking about, all the hands-on activities, the visual aid, the auditory, all of those things need to be in your everyday instruction. All right. So, what age should you formally introduce the alphabet? I get this question a lot. And I get a question a lot about, okay, well, what age does my child need to be when I come to you? And I typically say 2, right? Because some children are ready at 2. However, when the child is ready, you may have a child that's ready at 1.5. They're talking, they're excited about the alphabet. Hey, that's when it's time to begin. You may have a late bloomer, and for them the answer might be 3. You will kind of know when a child is ready because they're able to begin to interact with the world around them. Of course, standards require them to learn it by 4. So I would not wait past 4. Okay, so between 2 to 3 would be a great age to begin to implement these. You're looking at toddler age when they're able to play with activities kind of around them, and then you can begin to formally give them instruction, okay, around 3 and 4. But a lot of children are ready at 2. My baby was ready at 2 years old. Like, she was ready to go. She could sit down. She was excited. She was ready to apply, learning the letters in the world around them. So just kind of look at when a child is interacting with the world around them, then go ahead. Don't wait. Like, children have to learn so much in life. There's so many things to learn. Don't wait. Do not wait. That's how the learning gaps begin to form. All right, how can I assess a child's progress in learning the alphabet? So I suggest that you're constantly assessing, right? You don't know what they know unless you assess. You don't know what letters they've mastered unless you assess. This is why, even in my curriculum, Reading by Design, we assess at the beginning, we assess every week, we assess every set, like all of the letters are broken into 3 sets, and we assess at the end. We're constantly assessing. Why? Because you don't know what a child has learned unless you assess them. So you're constantly assessing, and you're, in order to assess, you're going to need some kind of assessment. So you also can do informal assessments. So I know I talk all the time about my digital games, and a lot of my digital games can be used as an formal assessment. So, for example, one of the games I have is called This or That. The children have an alphabet game, This or That, in which the children have to walk to this room for this side of the room for this, and this side of the room for that. Well, if the letter A is shown on the screen and you say go to the room that is labeled A, and then go to this side of the room that's correct, then guess what? They can identify the letter A. That's an assessment. It's literally assessment. If it says, there's a picture of an apple over here and a picture of a banana over here, and they have to go to the room that shows the picture of a word that starts with the A sound, and they go to the banana, guess what? They don't know the sound of the letter A. They don't know how to apply it. So they don't know it. And so in games, for example, like this or that game, you can do an informal assessment. So you should be assessing all the time. You should also be formally assessing at least at the beginning of teaching the alphabet, at least midway through. Like I said, I always tell you to assess every week in some capacity, right? In some capacity every week, but definitely in a more formal capacity at the end of there's 26 letters of the alphabet. So about every 8 to 9 letters, you want to be assessing for mastery. All right. Then, what role do phonics play? Oh, and hold on, before we move for assessment, what do you need to assess, right? When it comes to assessing, you want to assess letter name, the letter sound, and the letter formation. So name, like what letter is this? What sound does it make? And how do you form the letter, both uppercase and lowercase? All right, so those are the things that you would be using. Those are the things that you will be assessing. All right, okay. Now moving on to the next question. What role do phonics play in teaching the alphabet? I couldn't believe this was a question, but hey, phonics is the learning the alphabet, not totality. What I mean by that is when it comes to learning the alphabet, if I am showing the letter A, there's a visual representation of the letter A, and I'm connecting it with the name A or the sound A, that is phonics. That connection between letters to sounds is phonics. And that is a crucial part in teaching the alphabet. You can't teach the alphabet without phonics. Does that make sense? It helps children begin to understand the relationship between the language that is spoken and what they're visually able to see. Now, if I'm just dealing with sounds, for example, like Matt. That's phonemic awareness. They're only using their ears. But if they're using their eyes in any capacity, believe me, you are teaching phonics. Period. I might say period. All right. Next question. How can I support my English language learners in teaching the alphabet and alphabet acquisition? So when it comes to ELL learners, right? Imagine they're just like any other learners, but they need additional support with visuals, like a lot of visuals, and even more auditory. So they may not hear it the first time you say this is letter A, right? Because they're visually trying to see it, and you're gonna have to give them clear, consistent instructions with a whole lot of visuals. An ELL learner is going to need more opportunities to begin to practice, more opportunities to begin to learn, more opportunities to connect new letters with familiar sounds. And so understand that they already have a language, and so they're trying to learn a new language. So they need those extra opportunities. So understand that if you're teaching the alphabet with an ELL learner, just give them more opportunities, but also a whole lot of visuals. Whole lot of visuals. Now, I know I spoke about my curriculum, Reading by Design, and I would love to talk to you even more about it. Simply down below in the description, you will see how to learn more about the curriculum, Reading by Design, because let me tell you, everything is already done for you. The lesson plans are already done. The trying to figure out all of these FAQs, everything is already done. We talked about how often you should teach alphabet recognition. What do you need? All of that is already laid out for you in the curriculum. I also have a workshop titled How to Teach the Alphabet to Kids. Boom, where I go even more in depth and begin to teach you how to begin to do some of these amazing practices. So make sure you check that out down below in the description. And I cannot wait to see you down below. I also have an entire playlist about teaching the alphabets. So make sure you watch it right now. And I shall see you later.